Section 2.1. Section 2.1 is about pitch and how to read them correctly. You'll be given a question like this. Take one box to show the name of these notes. By this time, most of you should be able to tell the note from a score. However, for those of you starting out on your musical journey, here is a basic explanation of how pitches work. This is also useful for those of you who are already more advanced, because there are still areas of knowledge that are probably less familiar to you. Let's look at the piano. Here we have a middle C which lies somewhere around the middle of the piano under the logo. And we also have other Cs lying at the different octaves. Now if we look at this question again, this note is exactly where the middle C is on the piano. However, in music, or at least at the Grade 5 Music Theory exam, there is not just one clef that we need to know. Apart from the bass clef which we have in above questions, we also have 3 other clefs. And all the 4 clefs are the treble clef, the bass clef, the alto clef, and the tenor clef. In music, the idea of clef is just something to give you a reference point of where the pitches are. In all the clefs here, they have a middle C, which is exactly the same note we saw on the piano, and they all sound the same. However, they are all lying at different positions because of the different clefs. Think of the clefs like a ruler. We are moving the 0 point, the starting point, to various places so that the middle C might be starting in the bottom, like the treble clef, or at the top, like the bass clef, or somewhere in the middle, like the alto and tenor clefs. And the reason why we have different clefs is because, for example, imagine an instrument that plays mostly the note above the middle C. Then it will be more sensible to use the treble clef because it will be easier to read, where most notes are going to fall within the 5 lines. On the other hand, imagine an instrument that plays mostly the note below the middle C. Then it's more sensible to use the bass clef because most of the time the notes are going to fall within the 5 lines below the middle C. And then there are also instruments that play notes around the middle C, and it becomes more sensible for them to use the alto clef or the tenor clef, because the middle C lies around the middle of the staff. Now let's look at another question. This time is an alto clef. To count the notes correctly, we need to make sure that you're counting your alphabets correctly, or in musical terms, the letter names. And this can be easily done on a piano. Now I understand not all of you play the piano, but having the ability to read the piano keyboard is always going to be a plus. And this will be one of the essential tools that we need in order to do Grade 5 theory successfully. So here's a quick detour to how to read the piano keyboard for those of you who don't play the piano. Here we have all the keys within an octave, starting from the note C, and then D, E, F, G, A, B. And the letter names repeat as we go up. And the same goes when you go down, only in reverse. So C, B, A, and then G, F, and so on. Now coming back to this question then. Let's start with the middle C and we count down one by one. So we have C and B, A, G, F, E, and now we have what we call the ledger lines, which extends above, or in this case below, the original 5 lines when the pitch goes beyond that. And to continue with our counting, we have D, C, and B. And therefore the correct answer is a B. And this is it. That's everything about clefs and pitch reading. If you're looking for some more practice, I'll highly recommend that you visit this interactive site where I've put together a lot of practice tests and mock papers with instant feedback. In the drill mode, you'll have access to all the questions section by section, so that you can focus on specific question types and practice them until you feel confident. There are virtually unlimited questions. In the exam mode, you have access to full papers in the exact format of the exam, with randomized questions each time. You have 2 hours to finish the complete paper, at the end of which you'll be given your score and feedback.